Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the first session in the BALC Supervision series, and we are very happy you are attending. Hopefully you are supposed to be here. This is the first session with Michael Conta, which is personal health, team building, and effective management. Okay. My name is Jim Hoko. I am the Executive Director for the Behavior Analyst Leadership Council. Some of you may be familiar with our organization and have attended some conferences that we've had in the past. Others may not. We are a behavior analysis trade organization, and we were founded in 2015. We've had multiple conferences in the Northeast that were very popular, and our plan was to go to Boston this past year. That didn't work out so well, but we have plans next year for being in Miami in 2022, so we hope you guys would all join us there. We are committed to supporting behavior analysis, serving as leaders, managers, and business owners. We support you with a triad of excellence. Our emphasis is to try to support and promote effective leadership, clinical acumen, and operational expertise. Our events can be sought at balcllc.org/events if you want any information or to register for any of our events. And I am very happy to let you know that Behavior Development Solutions is sponsoring this first session in our supervision series. And we are very happy that they are doing so. I know in my personal history, they were very important as they helped me prepare for the exam as late as 2009, even though I've been a behavior analyst for a number of years. And I was very grateful for that. So BDS has been operating since 1998. They've helped a number of behavior analysts become board certified, primarily through CBA Learning Module Series, the premier exam prep and curriculum supplement for behavior analysts in training. They've helped achieve success by applying the scientific principles and methods of behavior analysis to the development of instructional content and software. The suite of offerings also includes RBT 40-hour training, RBT exam prep, and a variety of continuing education courses. They have an 8-hour supervisory training course, a well-stocked bookstore for behavior analysts, and live webinars. Once again, we'd like to thank Behavior Development Solutions for sponsoring this session. Also, we understand we're living in challenging times. Many behavior analysts in many states have qualified to be among the first to receive the COVID-19 vaccine because of the essential work that you do for children. and for families. We want you to know that the BALC appreciates and values your efforts, and we are here to support you in any way that we can. You truly are among the heroes. Also, you are here live tonight, many of you, but those of you who are watching us recording would want to pay attention to this. We have put within this presentation to enable viewers of the recorded version to collect CEUs. The speakers or moderator will be inserting participation words at a few points. Those viewing the recording will need to submit the participation words for verification of participation in order to acquire the CEUs. Please note the submission of these words is only needed if you're doing the recorded version of this webinar. You do not need to submit the words if you are watching this live on February 11th, 2021. For those of you who are watching the recording, to earn the CEUs, you would watch the recording. You would note the participation words, which will be given to you verbally by the speaker at points within the presentation. You would then email info or info@balcllc.org with the subject line CEU request and include the following in the body of the email: your name, your BACB number, the webinar title, and participation words. You will then receive a reply by email with further directions on how to collect the CEUs. Please note that the date on this email will be the date of the CEU certificate. So now it's time to introduce our speaker. We are proud to have Michael Conte. He's coming to us from Houston today. Michael is the former owner of an ABA speech OT facility for 13 years and sold the company in 2019. He has supervised and trained over 700 staff throughout his career, and over 20 BCBAs were credentialed during the company's tenure. Michael is currently the only person in the world to be a board certified analyst, a Six Sigma black belt, and PCC executive coach. I didn't even know that, Michael. So I am now going to stop my share and turn it over to Michael.
Thank you, thank you. Let me get my PowerPoint set up and then I'll turn my video on. All right, let's shut all this down. All right, let me start the video and now I can open up this bad boy here and do that and do that. All right, welcome everybody. Thank you, Jim, for announcing me. Definitely thank the sponsor, Behavior Development Solutions. So today we are gonna talk about personal health, team building, and effective management during challenging times. Of course, we've had some challenging times due to COVID, so we've had to learn a lot and of course have to accelerate what we do as a field. So definitely, thanking all those that are making this possible. So let's begin with this lovely picture here. This picture was taken around 2016, 2017. At that time, I put here the notes. This is the 300-pound burned out version of me. I absolutely loved what I did. Being an owner of an ABA company, which is one of my greatest life's work. But, in the process of meetings after meetings, installing new programs after new programs, and generally putting out fire after fire of a growing company, I just wasn't having much fun. And
Michael,
so, yes.
Michael, I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't happen to be seeing your slide. I'm wondering if other people are seeing your slides.
Let's see. Okay. It says host disable participant screen sharing. So I'm clicking on share screen, and I'm not able to come up with anything.
Okay, we are trying.
So as we do that, I'll continue to talk about the first slide, because first slide's a nice picture with a bunch of people behind me. And, you know, I look, and if we're going to push this field forward, you know, I think an important thing that we need to do is really try to deal with our burnout that we have in our field. And really that's through our supervision and our ability just to provide good standard supervision for folks that will give all of us a better chance to have a company of wellness and of course reduce some stress. So I'll pause for a quick moment. We'll see with the technical part of things.
We may have a problem with your permission to share, but I think you may be able to share at this point.
Okay, I can share now. I see it. How's that?
All right, my apologies, everybody. We're working out with some tech, but at least we're there.
I know, and it works too, because this picture of me, right? I got to show the 300-pound version of me. I don't know if I could describe me in audio. Can you describe yourself? And I mean, you can, but so there's that picture of me that I was talking about earlier. And you know, I think you know, when I went through that process, you know, I had to learn a lot about how to change, you know, my own path of wellness. And so, you know, that's essentially what this talk is, you know, going to center around. But really just the more balanced that you become, the more balanced the environment is, the more that we actually can improve our quality and control. And that's really what we're in the business of as behavior analysts, is just improving our quality so we can really help the clients that we serve. So what we will cover today, I have 4 tools that we're going to look to create and talk about. Tool 1 is, you know, before being a good supervisor, you have to have this internal wellness and energy to be effective. So we're going to talk about personal wellness. Is the energy needed to succeed? I'm a big fan of systems, and so we're going to talk about systems of organization. Tool number 3 is growing our team, you know, and you know, really growing to the point where they can do fantastic things. It's a lot better to have a team of superstars than just kind of being out on your own. And okay. And number 4, crucial conversations, making sure that we can have these one-on-one talks. I'll go over a little bit of 2 things to do next week, and then give you some 2 bits of advice. So we will have a time for Q&A. And so definitely, if you have any good questions, we'll save them to the end. We'll be more than happy to answer those fantastic questions. Other things I want to go over is, actually, I like to do a quick thing I like to do for all my talks. Since we're talking about wellness and you guys taking the time out in your busy evening to come here and enjoy this lecture, you know, everything starts with a nice, deep cleansing breath. So wherever you are, you know, take the biggest, slow, deep breath, hold it for about 3 seconds, and then just kind of let it all go. So I'll set a good example. All right, awesome. So the objective here is to let the lights that shine inside of us by the end of this talk, that we can get them all to shine a little bit brighter. So let's start with tool number 1. And so I have a little screwdriver here. So for those that are live, it's not applicable, but for those that are viewing this not live, the key word is wellness. Wellness, W-E-L-L-N-I-S-S, wellness. So let's begin. I don't have to explain to all of us that are on this talk that burnout is real in ABA. So let's define burnout. You know, we're behavior analysts, we define everything. So my definition of burnout is having more energy coming out of you than you are receiving back for an extended period of time. And so for me, burnout is an energy issue, meaning at some point, we just don't have quite the energy to give the same smile when we walk in and talk to staff. Do we have the energy to wake up and have that full emotional control over your thoughts and your feelings? And so, I remember probably a couple years back, going to the big ABBAs and starting to hear about companies talk about retention rates. And it was awestruck. I was awestruck by kind of how it's taking place. Here, maybe I might have selected the wrong screen. Okay, let me change this real quick and try that again. I think I got my slides up. All right, let's try that. And let's open this bad boy up again. All right, let's change this out. So a little technical difficulties, but that's what makes it fun. All right, so let me share again. And then let me start from current slide. And I guess the presenter view is going to, let me see if I can fix presenter view real quick. I'm going to have to, okay, what I'm gonna have to do then is go to some alternative, because I do have a paper copy to kind of work off of. So let's do that. All right. All right, so let's continue. In terms of the slide here, actually, wait, let me turn off, I gotta turn off presenter view. Hi, presenter view. Okay, so I like this picture because this is how I feel a lot of us are feeling at times. Please not, another report to write today. And so, whether that is you having to write 8 reports in 10 days, that it feels like happens often. Sometimes you have people that are, little rain clouds. There's a lot of things that happen to BCBAs. I won't do the British accent, but having some sort of wildlife refuge where we can rehabilitate BCBAs and have us not feel so stressed out in our environment as we tend to be. So let's talk a little bit about burnout. I think for us, really defining what burnout is, so we can be just better advocates for ourselves, but also for the people that we are supervising. It's, back in the old days, it used to be this badge of honor to go out and just, work through things and, come to work sick, which probably won't happen anymore now post-COVID. But we kind of had this badge of honor, just grinding yourself to bone. And then, just kind of, toughing it out. But, we see in this field, with lots of burnout, it really starts to, wear folks out, that people who love their jobs, they love helping kids, but they just, don't have the energy. So I'll talk briefly about 10 of them. And then it's kind of in your head, it's kind of do a mental checklist of which one of these that you've been affected by sometime in the last 12 months. So we have everything from just dreading going into work, just trying to, have that the antsy pan. As soon as you get there, you're kind of time watching, ready to leave. Already just having low energy, just being a little lethargic. Sleep's always an issue, with lots of folks. I put, number 6, be easily irritated by the team members or client. And, definitely, some folks, you can tell that just by their face when they approach you, they kind of approach with this kind of fear because they're not sure if you're going to be a little bit of a tornado or just be too dismissive. So that irritation's probably showing somewhere on your face. Some additional ones here are pulling away emotionally from colleagues or clients. And definitely, you don't have to share, your life story to all those people around you. Definitely, you don't have to do that. But just not being emotionally connected is really a sign of you just kind of mentally checking out. Feeling that your work doesn't go recognized, which is some of that's out of our control, but that can sometimes be a feeling. And then I like number 10, just really thinking that you are the only one to handle a situation. And sometimes you are the last line of defense, depending on where you are in your hierarchy. But just that constant feeling that you're the only one to handle a situation can be draining. And I think that really starts to lead to this concept of burnout. So if you've had 2 or more of these things happening consistently, you might be suffering just from a little bit to moderate to even a more severe form of burnout. Going back to that picture that I had in 2016-ish, I probably had about 4 to 5 of these things. They're all kind of whipping along inside of me. And it really just gave me an opportunity to realize that it was time to make a positive change. So my question to you is, how much energy do you have on a daily basis? And so I put here reinforcement, good old SR plus, and energy. We're really talking about reinforcement. I view reinforcement as this energy that keeps you motivated, right? Positive reinforcement to increase behavior, keep that energy flowing. So I'm going to use the word energy a little bit to adapt. I like to use more quote unquote layman's terms. We like the technical terms in ABA, but it's good to talk about things in a way that most people can understand in a very simple basis. So of course, I define energy as the ability to give out reinforcement willingly to help others around you without asking for much in return. So the process of reinforcement and energy, in my opinion, there's this type of reciprocal thing that takes place. So the example that I have is, what happens when your friend gives you a really nice and thoughtful birthday gift? Like they really went out of their way, the handwritten letter, with a nice smell of peppermint or eucalyptus. What happens after you receive that gift? And then it's 30 days out from their birthday. You are more likely to go out and spend a little bit extra energy doing a gift that, matches what they have done. Now, you don't have to, but there's a certain compulsion that you have because you don't want to be the quote unquote bad person, or you don't want to be the one to match that same level of energy. So when I really think about this issue of burnout and not having enough energy, you have to have enough energy on the inside to be able to give out to folks. And in doing so, that's how you're able to start to get energy coming back. It's for people that are in mentorship positions. Think of how you feel when a mentee comes to you and tells you how much you have meant to them. You get those lovely goosebumps, the neuroscience brain chemical, you receive the oxytocin, the bonding chemical that takes place. But I really do think that in order for you, as being a good leader, as you being a good mentor and being a supervisor, is to be able to give out energy. And of course, you have to have enough energy inside of you so that you can give it out willingly. And, I think energy is one of those things that we kind of sometimes hoard. We kind of live in scarcity. And some of that's, for things I'll probably talk about in a little bit, but we're really, really stingy with giving out energy, almost like the smiles are finite. And, I think that's something for you to think about is, okay, well, how much energy that I have really means how much energy I'm able to give out to all the people that I'm supervising and assisting. So I like the third point here, that our primary job is to grow. And the reason why this is important is humans really learn through doing, and they learn through seeing. And the best way to be a good supervisor is to set a good model for your supervisees. It's to set a good model for your employees, because that's ultimately what they're going to emulate. So if you talk about, everyone, let's share and let's all communicate, but you don't communicate, you're sending two messages. And most likely the message they're going to pick up is not the one that's coming out of your mouth when you're having the meetings. It's not the ones, that you put out on the newsletter. They're really watching what you do every single day. They're seeing, are you being consistent? Or are you the Mr. or Mrs. Rain Cloud? And so that's why focusing the journey on your growth really helps everyone around you. Because now you have the ability to take those extra 3 to 4 minutes and spend time with someone and give them the, really explain something in a very meaningful way. So always think, if you are the primary focus and you're trying to grow in all your layers as a human being, you're also going to be more accountable for when you are starting to struggle. You're not going to avoid when you're not doing your best or not performing. And I think that's the best way to catch yourself from running out of all this energy, where you start to feel the need that you are, by definition, burned out. I like the voodoo doll. So we talked about, of course, we're talking about energy, we're talking about motivation, we're talking about reinforcement. So of course it's, making sure you're getting energy in. But the other part of the equation is not to let a lot of energy just run out the door. And so, what I put here is grudges are a big waste of both time and energy. I've seen, I was very fortunate, I feel like running my company for 13 years. We went through growth stages, but I usually had around 50 to 70 employees. And it was amazing how we'd have some people through different circumstances that would hold a grudge, whether it's a grudge against a boss, whether it's a grudge against someone underneath them, or a grudge against a colleague, a grudge against a software platform, a grudge against insurance companies. And well, the insurance companies you guys can keep. But, the grudges against people, and they will hold a grudge for 2 or 3 years, and they will still kind of harbor this resentment. And if you think of that from an energy standpoint, think how many mental thoughts, these negative cortisol-filled soap thoughts of not liking something or not liking a person without any ability to change the outcome of it. It's a big waste of energy. And, I think the more that you grow in your job positions and take more places of leadership, the more that you grow, if you have a company and you're growing your company, you don't really have opportunities to waste time. There's just so finite, I think energy is limitless, but time is not. And so I always think, I have this 30-day mantra that, I keep, is that if something is bothering me, it's okay. I want to advocate for myself. I want to say what's on my mind in an intelligent and an emotional, regulated way. But if I haven't had the time to do it, if I haven't had the energy, or just, I'm upset, but I'm not upset enough to upset what's happening, by 30 days, I just have to let it go. I just have to move forward. And, sometimes you just have to just forgive a person for wronging you. You have to just kind of look, to the next step, because you don't want to get stuck here leaking out energy constantly. And so a lot of people are just stacking energy on their, their spiritual and sometimes physical, literal shoulders. And that's just not a healthy way to be in wellness. And of course, that's not a healthy way to maintain your energy. So, we are behavior analysts, most of us here on the call. And I am one of the biggest fans of the process of shaping. I really think it's a tool that is really still underutilized in our field for how simple, but how powerful it really can be and what we do on a daily basis. So I have the chef here, and the analogy is, the more that you understand shaping, it's like a cook that's trying his own cooking. And I want to frame that in terms of your self-change, any self-change. You want to sleep more, you want to make more friends, you want to not, snap at people when they say things that drive you nuts. Self-change is a true sign of understanding what shaping is. And so I look at some of the things that you can possibly shape. So a couple of them here, you can actually choose. There's really an unlimited amount of things that you can shape, but I highly encourage you to think about, what have I done here in the last 6 months? What behavior have I been able to change of myself that was difficult, but I was able to work through that process? And by doing so, you'll really understand how hard it is to actually change behavior. And so for us, as behavior analysts, that really is an important way to realize why sometimes supervisees struggle when we give them material. So it's a couple of goals that you could potentially shape. Some of the ones that changed me, so I speak through my journey. Definitely changing my morning and evening routine. Your first 30 minutes and last 30 minutes of your day should really have a good system around it. Please, the first thing you do when you wake up is do not get on your phone. Please do not get on your phone. It's not a great way to wake up in the morning with the internet and all its cortisol-inducing activities. I won't spend much time on it, but I can really say one of the biggest reasons why I've made a lot of changes and don't look the way that I did back in the 300-pound version of me is really doing some research about nutrition and the gut microbiome, and just understanding what that is. Oh, okay. All right. So interesting thing about the microbiome. There are more neurons in your stomach than there are in your head. So ultimately, you really have two brains that operate, and one is stronger than the other. On top of that, every food you eat, so whether you're eating healthy choices with good vitamins, or you're eating complete crapola, goes to make the neurons that are in your stomach and in your brain. So it stands to reason, if you eat like crap, you will think like crap. So just really think about how important nutrition is. And in doing so, I think that will really help you to just have the right vitamins in your system. And vitamins are great, but the best vitamins come from the ground, or they come from the proper animals. So that's, something that really changed me, if I said really got me on the track that I am now of wellness, was really understanding my microbiome. And then the third one, emotional regulation. We spend our entire lives mastering our own emotions. And, if you really want to get good at something that applies to everything you do, is being able to manage your anger, your sadness, your happiness, because you have to be able to manage all of those things. Because when you're not able to manage one, that's where you start to leak out lots of energy. Think how many times that you were sad and how much money you spent. You could, those are trips that you could have taken overseas on some of those weekend benders. And so that's why some of these things are important about why self-change, but it always goes back to shaping. If you can really understand the process of shaping through yourself, it is so much easier to shape an employee to improve. It is much easier to shape parents to be more involved and hands-on when working with their clients. So go shaping. So now we go to tool number 2. So we're at the hammer phase of things. We're going to talk about systems of organization. All right, nice little water stain. Good. So we're all talented folks. A lot of us got these nice, beautiful degrees. And I marvel at how we, in general, do not write enough information and have an organized way we keep our thoughts. And so I like the example here that, thoughts, ideas. So think about an idea for a second. It's this spark that happens somewhere deep in your brain or you're in your spirit. And it's almost like, this kind of lightning bolt of this, I have this idea. And so that's great. That's this creation. You've created this beautiful idea. But what happens when you don't write it down or give it its time? A lot of times we have the same ideas that kind of just circulate in our head over and over again, but they don't grow. They don't have this ability to really grow out to this very meaningful place to produce quality fruit. So, I put here, you don't have to create a mental masterpiece out of everywhere. Most great ideas are built upon other ideas. It's almost like a tree. And so I highly encourage you, if you have good thoughts about how to improve autism treatment, if you have great thoughts about improving how we do training for employees, you have to start to write them down in an organized fashion. Because what happens is, instead of thinking that same thought over and over again because it's in the back of your head, now that it's written down, you're able to think of alternative thoughts. You're able to build on the thought that you have. And, a lot of thoughts, they take time, and I like that plant analogy that you should really grow your thoughts. You give it the proper water by thinking about them. You give it sunlight by communicating it with other people and kind of getting feedback on what they think about the thoughts. And that's really how you develop, some well-developed systems that can make the change. So many times I see people just, think for 10 minutes and try to make this thought. And of course, that's when, the system falls short. People don't like what happened because we really get a chance to let that idea thought grow. So how many of you guys looking at that picture, how many of you guys' desks look that way? It's funny. You can count all the Post-its. If you have more Post-its than what's on that picture, tisk, tisk, tisk. But definitely declutter your space. It's hard to have a good mental thought when you have to spend 5 minutes finding everything that's around you. And so there's this lovely lady, Marie Kondo. If you have Netflix, It's called Tidying Up with Marie Kondo. And she, really said some things that really hit home with me. And really that thought of everything has a home. Everything's energy, everything needs to have a proper home. And then really everything should try to bring you joy. And so, I really, really advise to really think about your space. And if your space is cluttered, it's a high probability that your brain's cluttered. You got too much stuff going on. And so, writing things down declutters your brain. And then, just decluttering your space is just a very important way to keep the more you declutter, the more you actually have room for new thoughts, the more you have new space to really develop new ideas. Time wasters, this one I won't spend as much time because it's kind of self-explanatory, but time management. But, I'm going to talk about the last two, the constant interruptions. So some of you guys, especially if you're BCBAs, you play that game, you're typing a report, and then you play the game Name That Scream, which is one of the favorite pastimes of ABA clinics. But think how long it takes to do a report, because you're literally always have literally one ear waiting for the next drama piece to take place. And I do know clinics are, they have those type of capabilities, but really finding a way from a company-wide system to limit constant interruptions. So one of the things that we did really well at our company, once we realized just how often it was happening, if we really tried for the first 2 hours of the day, is unless it was highly important or part of a scheduled something, not to send any emails to anyone else. Just not to add anything else so that people can focus. And the amount of positive feedback that we received, because people just really thanked us for saying, I had an hour to just be in my own thoughts. And you get a lot more work done with some quiet time than you do trying to put out, all these different experiences, putting all these fires. With multitasking, you're not supposed to multitask. It's not a badge of honor. What it really means is that you are doing lots of things poorly. So when I hear multitask, that's what I envision, is you're poorly doing lots of things at the same time. Maybe we need a new phrase. We can develop like, I am a focused task completer, meaning I just do one thing at a time, but I get things done. I think if I saw that on resumes, I would definitely, it would definitely make me happy compared to the multitasking. So stop that multitasking. Technology is where we are. So the 1900s, we, really kicked in the industrial age, being able to manufacture mass things. And we are at the beginning of a fantastic but terrifying era of the technology/information age. So as a behavior analyst, an executive, anyone working in this space, we have to adapt to technology. Because the beautiful thing about behavior analysis is really, in some sense, it's finite in its nature. Meaning it's not like we're going to hear breaking news about, we discovered a new emotion, emotium. We're finite in how we're able to have our capacity of emotions. And really, that's a good thing for us as a field. We can really dig deep into all the nuances, but technology is going to keep scaling. So it's how we're able to provide our treatment model will radically change over time. And so even in my 20 years of working with, ABA, being from ABA therapist and of course becoming a behavior analyst, the old days of the handwriting graphs, which I just, I still hate, even from way back when. Please tell me none of you guys are still hand graphing. Big shame on you if you haven't gotten to that point. we had the old box of TAC cards. We had that same language builder set that company probably made, just gobs of money, since they always used to get ripped up at all our in-homes and therapy centers. The big textbook, the big binder that we forced these kids to kind of lug around like a workout equipment. And, that wasn't that long ago. We're talking 20 years. So where are we going to be 20 years from now? I just have one or two predictions, but, I think 20 years from now, programming will be automated. We should really be able to know a high percentile how to help a kid make progress, because we'll just have so much data available. So as you guys are looking to train folks, really see, is your technology keeping pace with how you're training? Because if you're training still in too much of an old school method, that might be the problem. So it's nice, we have a sponsor here that's, dealing with technology. And so really upping your technology game is what's going to leave people behind. And so don't be one of those people that's afraid to jump on the new software platforms, because they're highly important to your development and really for the development of our field. I won't spend too much time on this, but pick a horse and ride one of the software programs. Either Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, or Disney's going to own the planet one day. And so pick one of them and really try to build most of your products inside. You really need to have a yearly calendar system, a way that you can keep track so it's not all in your head. And then, I want to touch on LinkedIn, or a quick shout out. So a year ago, I barely had LinkedIn connections. I didn't see the value in it. So I think I had maybe 100 connections, and now I have 10,000 connections. So I'm connected to some of you guys on LinkedIn. So I've developed some dialogue. So I think that's amazing. We like each other's posts. We comment in a professional environment. And so there's some other things there, but really think about how you can use software and really use it as an advantage. And don't kind of, I know it's difficult because the technology keeps changing, but don't be afraid of technology. It's really our path to really make a good treatment program that benefits both our clients and then benefits our staff. So now we're on to tool 3. And so, the beginning, I really wanted to really touch on the personal aspect of you, and really having the ability to have your wellness, the ability to be organized. So now we're starting to transition in terms of how do we help, how we supervise our teams, how we supervise people that want to become behavior analysts. Let me check my time, make sure I'm doing good time-wise. All right, I am. So environments. We think about the ABCs, behavior analysis, the 4-term contingency, the establishing operations, right? The stuff, the internal, the antecedent, the settings event, the behavior, the actual behavior that takes place, and of course the consequences. And so we do that all the time, right? ABC, ABC. Our behavior intervention plans are set that way. We really use it as our, big guideline. So my question to you is, think about the environment of your center, your business, your school. Is that environment, the A, right? Let's focus on the A. Is that environment a place that produces wellness? Does it produce happiness? Does it produce people working together? Or does it produce chaos? Does it produce stress? Does it produce animosity? We already know in our field that if you can really help A, B and C are a lot easier to get accomplished. And I really think for us as a field is really to shift how much energy we take on doing these interventions for companies and kids and our clients, and really thinking internally, are we creating good environments for our employees? And it's easy to find out. Walk out into the group and look into the eyes of folks. And you see folks who are smiling and engaging and having good rapport with each other and having each other's backs, or you're seeing environments where the BCBAs don't make eye contact because they have so much work to do. The new staff are really unsure of how they're supposed to do therapy, so they're kind of walking on eggshells. And then this overall, there's just constant noise and changes. And so we, as behavior analysts, we're in the business of actually creating environments. And having environments that produce wellness is what will help a company thrive. So on one aspect, definitely behavior, people have burnout, right? People burn out. But I would actually more argue that the environment is just more conducive, that's a natural probability, the most probable thing is that burnout will take place. So not think of just helping this person, you really need to focus a lot of your resources and your energy saying, how do I modify the environment? I really think a lot of the people on this talk, this is what your uniform is when you come into work, because you are putting out fires all day. So you get to work and the staff's really upset, and you go put out that fire to the left. You have to talk to a vendor that's not doing things that you need. So you got to put out that fire. You got to deal with the client, put out that fire. And so you get to the end of the day and you realize that you really didn't get much done except put out fires. Or you got some things done, but because you put out all these fires, you really didn't get what you needed to get done. So I put at the top here, staff are your quality control. They're the one thing that their quality, meaning how well your staff are able to perform on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, is the energy that will allow your company to grow, and it's the energy that will allow you to do more things to grow your company, grow your department, grow your team, and grow yourself. So, the days of let's give this person a chance should be extinct. We should hire the right people, we should train them very well, and then we should always create an environment of wellness. So what I do now after sold my company, I work with ABA providers, consulting, and I go in and set up employee life cycles. And we talk about this, the finding the right people and training them well really gets the company moving in the right direction. Because when you have that turnstile, and we've all gone through that turnstile, even, I showed you the picture at the beginning, we had some pretty gnarly retention rates, some of the years. And that turnstile is it's soul sucking. You have to keep bringing new stuff in. And so you're kind of in this constant motion of training. Some stay, some go, training. And when you're in this firefighter mode, you just don't really have time to grow your department, to improve your training. So, I really think just spending that time, that if the staff quality is your focus, if they're your quality control, now you're spending the energy. And even just from a basic financial standpoint, one of the things that I didn't realize as the owner of my company is how much money we wasted on training. Meaning that, think when you train someone, you have to have a BCBA or a high level person taking time out of their day that they could do something else. You have to set up all these systems. If you have a mentorship program, you got to set those things up too. And then they leave after 3 months. think of the financial value. So, I encourage you guys that deal with any of the finance numbers, do the math on how long does it take for an employee to be at your organization when you actually break even? Because you spend a lot of time up front, doing lots of training. So that's why quality control is important. It's not just for improvement. It's really for saving your bottom line and really having a way that you can have people stay longer. And so that therefore you're spending more time growing your company. I really had a good time doing all these visuals. So when it comes to having any position of authority, this is a supervision series, we have to talk about power and how corrupt power is. And we know this, right? There is, being in something like politics is the corruption. I like what I put here. Power will corrupt you. If you think power won't corrupt you, then you definitely will be corrupted by power. And so defining what power is, it's just the ability just to have outcomes. You can write someone up that can give them the process of getting them terminated. You cannot give someone reinforcement and then give them your dirty stink face when you're unhappy. And I like the term "drunk with power." That's a term that we use as a civilization. That literally you have this drunkenness of, that this is what I'm able to do. And so you have to be able to mitigate that. And I talked about previously about staff and you putting out fires. We had to be better at delegating to staff. So first, we need to make sure that they are trained properly enough, that they have the knowledge, and then give them things to do. And of course, let it be at their education level, be at something that is per their job description. But without the ability to delegate, we start to end up with just too much power. And it starts to lead to either our burnout or eventually leads to our corruption, because we start to wield that power in very interesting, really sometimes toxic ways. And so I remember I had an employee that I promoted. And really promotion is where I see where it kind of, when someone first gets power, how it kind of, goes to their heads. And it was so vivid that this person had a decently strong personality, but, it was their time. It was the old, let's give them a chance days. And in 2 weeks, this person literally lost their minds and was trying to change rules and do all these things, that we went from having someone that we promoted and about 1 month later, we had someone that we had to terminate just for this kind of drunk with power. And so, of course, you want to see it in yourself. And when I talk about power, it also goes into kind of the ability to hoard, kind of the hoarding of information. Because that's another way that we hoard power a lot in ABA clinics is information. We know something that's going to roll out, or, we know something that's coming up. When someone gets in trouble, so of course, me, at the top level of my company at that time, someone would get in trouble. And it's funny how as soon as they get in trouble, they know they did something wrong, but then they would have this information that they hoarded, like, well, I did do this wrong, but did you know? And they would throw like 2 or 3 people under the bus. It happened way too many times that I could count. And so to me, that's a way of kind of hoarding power. I think they're trying to use it as a kind of a get out of jail free card situation. So there are some leadership traits. Just checking our time. So there are some leadership traits that are good to emulate. I really want to cover 2 of these in particular, but of self-deprecation. When you put yourself on a pedestal too big, meaning they don't see when you're, struggling a little bit, and you don't have to tell them, please don't tell them, all the things that you're going through, but it's okay to let people know your humanity. I think when people at the top hide what's going on, it really sets the message to the people underneath to do the same. So what I see at a lot of companies when I go and interact is just a lot of people are just suffering in silence. So when I do my executive coaching, I'll coach 3 or 4 members of the same team, and they'll all be talking about how they're all burnt out and hate what they're doing, but they all don't tell that to each other. And so, definitely, be self-deprecating enough to show your humanity, and then you allow the people around you to show their humanity. And I think that's really an important thing to do, so that people just don't suffer in silence and they're willing to communicate, what's taking place. And then with that, I want to touch on developing trust and approachability, especially valuing that different people have different opinions. So I'm a big fan of all diversity is good diversity, meaning that's why our planet is diverse. It has, hundreds of types of bananas. It has all these different types of animals. It's because we can get different experiences. We are limited in our perspective, right? We can only see through our 2 eyes. So what happens when you have a different amount of experiences? And it could be whether it's gender, it could be race, it could be culture, but I think a lot of times it can just be cognitive. Some people just have different ways to look at the world. And it doesn't mean that every idea that they have is a great one, but to just discount everything and only have one linear way of thinking really kind of limits your ability to see things from a whole 360 point of view. And so encourage your staff to have, I call, healthy conflict. Because if your teams are not really having conflict, they're probably not pushing each other and really growing those ideas as a team. So a lot of times when I instruct companies is when you have a mentor-mentee relationship, in the first week, I have them role play giving each other constructive criticism. Meaning, they can actually pick a real thing, or you could pick anything out of the blue, but do it in a positive role play, because there you can set the examples that it's okay to approach me and tell me something that I don't want to hear, and vice versa. I'm going to have to approach you and tell you things you don't want to hear. So as a leader, it's very important to keep those communication lines open, and you have to set it through example. So you can have as many open door policies as you want, open door policy, but if no one's coming through your door, there's not a functional open door policy. So set those good positive examples, and that will really help you to be consistent as a leader. So we are on tool number 4 about crucial conversations and social skills. For those live, this doesn't apply to you, but the second keyword is social for the CEUs. Social, S-O-C-I-A-L, social. So in social skills. So tool number 4, so we got the saw out now. Crucial conversations and social skills. So I kind of teased it a little bit with the last bits, and now we're going to get into, having those fun conversations. If you know there's an elephant in the room, if they know there's an elephant in the room, by all means, address the elephant in the room. To ignore the elephant in the room creates this awkward space. And that awkward space just really can't be filled, and you can just pop it by just acknowledging what that elephant can be. And it can get uncomfortable, and I understand that piece, but the job of being a mentor is doing the uncomfortable things. That's why we are in the positions that we are. If you want to grow and get, bigger status, grow your company, get a different higher role, you're going to have to be able to get to near mastery in having these crucial conversations. So I'm going to talk about it in terms of honey and vinegar. When I did this talk, because I like visual cues, I actually gave the staff a little jar of honey and vinegar. And it was amazing how even years later, they remembered this analogy. So really quick aside, or mini soapbox, is when you're out doing talks, when you're being a mentor, visual cues and prompts, we do them for kids all the time, right? We do all these visual cues, and then we give our staff the most boring, just, big scripts of manual text and say, well, you need to learn this. Why are you not energized? Don't you want to help kids? So visual cues are very important. Use them as much as possible. So anyways, honey and vinegar. We mostly need honey, but vinegar is also very effective. So I'll explain both of those. So honey is encouragement, being able to give encouragement, talking about the energy piece, right? Giving out that energy. So I define honey as to instill confidence and open communication lines. So some examples here is just really going out of your way to help someone else improve. To really sit and say, okay, well, here, role play with me. I will be the kid and you can practice doing your DTT. Or role play with me. I will be the parent and then you practice giving me information that I may not want to hear. That's an example of really investing in someone. So honey is showing a genuine care. And, we really need to do that for our staff. They really need to see that we genuinely care about their progress. Because the more that we care about their progress, the more they're going to care about our agendas, our programs, our protocols, and our processes. Being genuinely excited for others is a great way to give encouragement. And just telling people you appreciate them, on the spot. As a field, we don't do enough of this to each other. It's a very, dentist with bad teeth type of thing that we do to each other, where we give lots of love to our clients and we treat them with kid gloves. We love our kiddos that we work with. We, even do a good job with our vendors, but our staff are the staff make me angry type of thing that takes place. So there's always ways to find honey. Honey is very important. And honey actually goes with empathy. When you're building empathy, a lot of people just want to be heard. We definitely won't get into all the crazy stuff that takes place, that took place in 2020. But, the world would be a better place if we just heard each other more. Do not have to agree with each other. But just the process of hearing someone else out builds chemical bonds between both people. And, just being heard and acknowledged really helps staff to kind of know that, people generally care about their well-being and what we have going on. And when we don't have the energy, when we're not organized, when we're not able to have these crucial conversations, we're going to start to lack this piece. And, people leave. There are many people that leave a company that love their colleagues, love the clients they work with, but they just not feel that they're being appreciated. And I think for someone of any position of authority or any executive, that's a terrible and very, cost expensive way to lose someone. Is because they just didn't feel that someone cared about them enough. And so, for behavior analysts, define what that empathy is and incorporate that into your company, into your team. Because empathy is what will allow them to work hard for you and for the clients that you serve. So we talked a lot about, honey and empathy, but we also need to talk a little bit about vinegar. And vinegar is the critique. And so I see people that either they're really strong with giving out honey, but they really give out no vinegar at all. Then I see some people that really love giving out vinegar, just handing vinegar shots to people, telling them what they're not good at, and they don't do much of any honey. So which one's worse? Is it the person who just gives out honey or the person who gives out vinegar? I would argue they're both equally as destructive. Because if you only give out honey, you really don't show people specifically how they can get better. People need to know what they're doing wrong. They need to know there's a better way to do things. On the other side, of course, you're just giving out vinegar, they're just going to think you don't care enough. So that's why honey and vinegar are together. It is a complete balance. And so just kind of think in your head, which one is the more dominant? Because we tend to be more dominant one or the other. And we have to really try to find a way of balancing ourselves out on a regular basis. And I put some examples there. There's lots of different things that involve critique, but be okay with critique. Because critique is something that is a growth mechanism, meaning you can't just tell people they're doing things well and still have them grow at a sufficient enough level. So there I am now, and actually this is actually a little old. So now this is a 200-pound version of me. So going back to that picture that I had, so this is probably about a 3-year journey overall. And, running that company, like I said, was the best thing I ever have done. But in its own way, it was a limiting belief that I have that this is the best I can do. And so I sold the company. I took a little fun sabbatical. Then I started to collect a couple other, certifications, the Six Sigma, the project management, the executive coaching. And so now, as much as I love what I did, I now can help lots of folks in meaningful ways. And I could do it in a way that involves my own wellness. I think a lot of us feel we have to sacrifice ourselves to help the company grow, or help our team, or help the people around us. And that's incorrect. That's a limiting belief that we set on ourselves. And so I'm kind of here to tell you, the reason why, I'm happy to do this talk is just to let you know, you could be a grinder. You can work hard every minute, every day of your life, but you can do it in a way that fits your beliefs. It can fit your wellness. It can fit your purpose, and it can fit your profession. And you should never settle, and you should keep practicing until you get to that balance. And that balance takes time, right? We grow through attrition. But I'm kind of happy now to kind of be, where I am on this journey. And so I have a couple more things. I want to give you 2 objectives that you can do here in the next couple of days. And I have 2 just small bits of advice to take away. We're getting at the little final lap of this. So start to get your questions. I want to hear some awesome questions about the stuff that we've talked about, mentor-mentee type activities. So 2 objectives to improve in the next 3 days. I encourage you to really improve your morning and evening routine. Really fight for your first 30 minutes of your day or your last 30 minutes. I understand, if you have lots of things going on, you have kids, responsibilities. So I definitely understand that part. But it's something you should always keep working on. It's something that just pays so much dividends. If you really struggle that like the morning's a little harder, okay, we'll shift a lot of time to the evening. And always just kind of fighting for that ability. And then, going back to that slide we talked about with shaping is, in my opinion, in order to stay balanced, it's hard. So when you devote just energy to one section, I think that causes some of the imbalance. Meaning if you just work on physical, that's great. But there's really a lot of other dimensions that you need to kind of have going on at similar times, so that you don't get too far where, okay, physically you've gone far in your journey, but socially or mentally you're still struggling. So I highly encourage you, pick one physical goal, one mental goal, one spiritual, one social, and one professional goal, and you do your own self-change project that you monitor every 90 days. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to take data, you don't have to graph, unless you really like that, but really that's not the goal. It should be something that is for you. Have whatever that you need to take a little bit of measurement. I mean, we are behavior analysts, right? But I really believe that if you kind of set a balanced list of goals and you monitor them every 90 days, you really start to understand the areas of your strengths and your weaknesses. And it's amazing to look, and if you realize, maybe my social skills are just really not sufficient. I'm able to do these other goals, but I really struggle with having that hard conversation, or I really struggle with my emotions. I just get so upset, or I just get so sad, or I get so much imposter syndrome. Knowing that now gives you the time and the bandwidth to really figure out how to fix it. Write your own BIP, so to speak, and that's really a good one. In terms of things to remember as a supervisor, I think as a supervisor, it's really remembering that, people are human. And so actually, I'll just go to the last slide. So as a supervisor, people are going to make mistakes. And we have to be comfortable with the fact that you're going to give advice to someone and they're going to not be able to follow it. And that's okay. But don't feel that, well, I've taught them once, they should know it. Now I just need to write them up. So really look at giving the comfort of allowing them to make small mistakes, make mistakes within reason, and then encourage them how to overcome it. Because if you can teach someone how to overcome their mistakes, now they're starting to get on their own self-learning journey. And that's just really the crux of how we do supervision. You're kind of helping someone kind of help walk along with someone to help them achieve their goals. So kind of final bits of advice for you, and of course to kind of give to your mentees, is the fear of failure. So a lot of times when I'm supervising folks, they're really struggling with, oh, I messed up this SD, I can't get it right, or I just can't get this concept. And I really just talk about that aspect of, hey, it's okay, let's try to teach this another way. Or let's role play this. Or here's some things on YouTube, I call it the college of YouTube. Here's some things on YouTube to look at so that you can gain a deeper perspective and a knowledge of what's taking place. And, I really, when I think of wellness, is just learning how to forgive yourself and forgive those around you just a little bit each day. When environments are a more forgiving environment, meaning that we allow the ability to, make these small mistakes, it's amazing how people open up more. Their walls, come down a little bit, and you actually can kind of see their authenticity. Because for those of us that do therapy, that's what therapy is, right? you want the therapist, or I will argue the best therapists for those in therapeutic settings are the ones that the therapists are their authentic selves. They're able to relax, with their client in such a meaningful way that creates this great engagement. And so that should happen at all the levels. It should happen between, the company and the client, but it really needs to happen internal at the company. It needs to happen from colleague to colleague to be able to kind of forgive each other a little bit. It needs to happen from upper management to lower management and vice versa. I think just that little bit really helps us to understand our humanity, that we're just regular people just trying to live our life on this beautiful rock of a planet. So success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. If you love what you are doing, you will be successful. If you focus on keeping you and your employees balanced, then your company, your team, your supervision program will be of much success. Definitely thank the Behavior Analyst Leadership Council for allowing me to do this talk. I've thoroughly enjoyed sharing my journey with you folks. I'd like to thank the sponsor, Behavior Development Solutions, for being a great sponsor for what we have available. And so I want to turn things back over to our lovely session host.
Wow, I don't think I've been called lovely too much, but I'll take that, Michael. So that talk was great. It made me feel better, at a time when things are kind of hard to feel better these days, but really appreciate you doing this for us. Why did you decide to do it for us?
When I ran my company, I spent so much time in my own head thinking I had to suffer alone and I had to learn to deal with it by myself. And it actually wasn't until I actually sold the company, it kind of forced me to realize I never have to do anything alone. You should share your happiness, but you should share your sadness. You should share your journey, because that is how we help each other as a species. And as a behavior analyst, I really love this field, and I feel that we're in the puberty stage of development. We have so much growing pains to do, but we have so much potential to help autism, to help companies treat addiction, make the world, the planet, more sustainable and environmentally friendly. And it all starts on individuals' journeys. So me talking about what I did well and what I didn't do well really has changed my authenticity. And now I just go about, sharing it, with folks.
Okay. Well, hey, thank you very much for doing this presentation, and thank everybody for joining, and hopefully everybody signed up for the whole series, and we're going to promise we'll have fewer technical issues, and I apologize to our host here, fewer technical issues for the remaining sessions. But I want to close by sharing my screen just to give the people who are here watching the recording so the instructions again. Remember, not for the people live here, but for anybody who's watching recording, you're going to email info@balcllc.org with your name, your BACB number, the webinar title, and the participation words in order to qualify for the CEUs. So everybody take care and stay safe.